In the first game of the 2002 World Cup, the U.S. men's national team finished with a draw against Wales, a 1-1 draw in an extremely hard-fought game, a game that had a ton of emotion and was played at a really high, intense level. A lot to unpack from that game, and we're going to get into it. All that more on this episode of the Yank Report. What's up? My name is Sam. This is the Yank Report, the show all about the U.S. men's national team, and we're going to be right here with you all through the 2022 World Cup. Without further ado, let's get into it. But before we do, let's hear a word from this week's sponsor. Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, we're going to bring in Brad. Brad, oh man, I don't even know what to say after that game, man. You walk away and you're grateful for the point, but you realize that you had so much more on the table. U.S. came out with a very strong first half where Wales seemed to hardly even touch the ball, and then in the second half, Wales clearly changed their intensity, changed the way that they were playing. They pushed higher up the field, and as a result, the U.S. were a little bit more under siege. Still, it really felt like we were denying Wales many clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities, but they get their moment with a penalty kick. That penalty kick, one of their few really good quality chances on goal. And, of course, Gareth Bale, the old dragon, comes through, scores it for Wales. And then after that, it was just a war of an attrition, man. I mean, players were dropping right and left, Welsh players, American players. We knew that Weston McKennie was probably not going to go 90 minutes. Greg Berhalter brings in the cavalry, brings in Haji Wright. He brings in Kellen Acosta. And he brings in DeAndre Yedlin to shore up the defense. The big question I think on everyone's minds right now is where the hell was Gio Reyna? I see Orbiter Dictrum says the same thing, shares those sentiments. I'm sure we'll find out more about Gio Reyna, but I guess first of all, your initial reaction from the game.
We're not dead yet. You know what? It's hard. It's really hard to take points as anything other than gosh, man.
What could have been, right?
What'd you say?
What could have been?
Yes, that's I guess what I'm getting at. It really just feels like it was right there for us to take. The first substitution with Brendan Aronson, I think, was a smart substitution. I think he didn't look out of place. He looked hot on the ball. I think there were a few nervy moments there for him, but altogether, it was a good substitution. I think the decision to bring in Jordan Morris over Gio Reyna was ill-advised, I would say. I think if you are going for the win, I think you want a player who's going to be creative and really get stuck in. So that was that. And that Walker Zimmerman challenge was just ill-advised. You were in fine position. Bale still had to turn and you had help. You didn't need to do what you did. But, it is what it is. We're not dead. We got probably a 50-50 chance of making it through. It will come down to that last day. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to make. The U.S. still has all their goals ahead of them. We have a game against England, and then we have that final game against Iran. It's looking like it's going to come down to who does better over those two matches between Wales and the United States. Not the place we wanted to be. Certainly not where we thought we would be at halftime whenever the U.S. was really dominating this game, but it's where we find ourselves at the end of the game. I think the big question mark, and I'm sure it's going to be the first question, the second question, the third question, and the fourth question for Greg Berhalter in the post-game press conference is, where is Gio Reyna? you got to assume that he's not healthy. You got to assume that if he was healthy, he would have been in that game. I just don't know if there's any way that Greg could not play him, not certainly not sub him in. Certainly at that point where you're bringing in Jordan Morris late in the game, if Gio Reyna was available, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that just I don't know. I remember texting you during the Gladbach Dortmund game when Gio was subbed off at half. I was like, are we sure he's okay? But then Greg's saying throughout the week we have everybody at full training. So where is Gio Reyna? Where is your young star boy who you think can make an absolute difference in this game? I don't know. It just maybe Greg, the last thing he had in his mind was Jordan Morris getting that goal that when both teams were down to 10 men down in Honduras. I mean, I don't know, but that just it leaves you with a bunch of questions about, why are you leaving one of your best players on the bench? I think Aronson was well used. He was good in the buildup. I just think there was no width in the second half. No one was getting wide and being able to send anything good in. So I don't know. A lot of questions about that.
Yeah, the service into the box was not very good throughout the night from the U.S. I mean, that includes, I think the best ball across all game was the ball that Tim Weah played in early on that hit the Welsh defender and went on goal. Probably the best cross of the night. Outside of that, not so great. Yeah, and whenever Yedlin came on for Dest, it really took a lot out of the U.S.
Yes.
attack. I think Yedlin was his width on the right side was not only great in the attacking third, but especially I think when we were in possession, and he was often the one to make the run, to make a line breaking pass, to make the decision to kind of spark that attack. And you're just losing that whenever you have DeAndre Yedlin on the field.
Do you think his early yellow, which should not have been a yellow, played into Greg's decision to take him off?
Well, I think before the game we were talking about
60 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about Serginho Dest and Weston McKennie as probably not being 90 minutes fit, just judging based off of everything that we've heard from the press heading into this match. So wasn't a huge surprise. But before the game, we did talk about who would be that sub for Serginho Dest, and I definitely had Yedlin as my last choice. But it ends up being Yedlin. And to be fair to Yedlin, I didn't think that he had a particularly bad game defensively or anything like that. Like you're going to get what you get from him offensively. But ultimately, I mean, it comes down to a fateful moment in the box where Zimmerman, a guy that has just not set a foot wrong for the U.S. throughout World Cup qualifying and beyond. He has the rough moment, and that leads to Gareth Bale getting his opportunity and scoring that goal. So it just all comes down to that moment. I guess we need to go through the lineup and kind of talk about each of the players throughout this game. Let's start with the left back, or no, let's start with the keeper. Matt Turner didn't have too many moments. He did have one real big save off of a diving header for Wales. He had a shaky moment where a ball came into the box and he was only able to get some hands onto it. Kind of scary. Overall thoughts on Matt Turner?
I thought he was fine. Did what he had to do. Almost got to the Bale penalty, but Bale put it in a great space with great pace. So you're not gonna really get a lot of criticism for that. The corner on the ensuing corner from the big save he made was a bit nervy, but overall, I mean, middle of the road, not much to talk about there.
Jedi Robinson had some big moments in this game. In the second half, he was asked to defend a whole lot more. He had some moments in the first half where he was kind of streaking through. He had some nice combination with Pulisic. Thoughts on Jedi Robinson in this game?
He would be my second man of the match. Actually, I think a lot of our great creation came from when guys were a little too focused on Pulisic when he's in the buildup and they drift towards Pulisic, and Jedi just goes, okay, fine, I'll take that, and created a lot of dangerous moments there. So I think he is one of the most irreplaceable parts of this team.
Yeah, I thought he had one of the better games he's had for the U.S. men's national team. I was pretty happy with his performance. He's a guy that I don't expect to be a star for this squad. I expect him to be a role player and to do what I know that he does. And I thought he was the best version of himself tonight. There were some moments where he kind of ran at the defense and just kind of turned the ball over easily, and he had some moments in possession that weren't so tidy. But that's kind of who he is. And I think the things that you do get from him, that those great runs, those tireless runs, and decent service into the box and defense, good too. So I thought a good game for him. The man playing next to him was Tim Ream. A lot of discussion about Tim Ream heading into this game. Your thoughts on Tim Ream?
Very solid, very solid. Good in the buildup. Um, Bit of a nervy moment towards the end there, but nothing really came of it. So no, Reem was absolutely the right choice to start in this match. And if he can recover well and be fit for the next match, I say you start him again.
Yeah, hard to take Reem off of this team right now. He had some big moments in the air too. I mean, he
Mhm.
won some balls in the first half. He was a big part of the reason why Wales just struggled to get anything going in that first half. He made some good reads. We didn't see him get exposed for pace hardly at all in this
Nope.
game. So those questions about the high line didn't come to fruition. So overall, solid game from Tim Ream. I think this was one of the better center back tandems that we've seen from the U.S. in recent memory, at least with the ball at their feet. And
Yeah.
they were excellent in distribution this game, but not pressing too hard with their distribution. They didn't fire the ball in needlessly just to try to make plays. They kind of kept it simple and they were patient in the build up. So that first half, it felt like Wales was really sitting back, hoping that the U.S. would get frustrated and play in some ill-advised balls through the middle. And the center backs really didn't go for that. They kept it simple. They kept looking for those opportunities to strike, and were able to hurt Wales that way. Now, moving on to Walker Zimmerman. Zimmerman, of course, has the big moment of the match, which was his foul on Gareth Bale that leads to the penalty. Thoughts on Walker Zimmerman?
I thought he was solid. I think he just had a really, really bad lapse in judgment, but unfortunately it cost us 2 points there. We get one instead of three. It sucks because that's one of your jobs as a guy who's captained this team a lot, a guy who has been a mainstay. It's to stay composed and be a real steady Eddie in that back line. And unfortunately, in the 82nd minute, he lost his cool, lost his composure there. And that was a foul he didn't have to commit. He had help. He was in good position. Bale wasn't going to get a shot off. He had his back to goal practically. So I don't know. I still start him the next game. Brush it off, get him in with the team psychologist, surround him with love. I mean, but that just
Yeah, I think Obiter Dictum says it here. You have to keep playing Zim, but damn, that was a terrible moment. I think that's what it's
it
going to
was bad.
be.
It
I
was a
mean,
bad lapse in judgment. Yeah,
yeah, you don't have any other choice at this point. I think Zim's been the rock for the U.S. at center back, and I think he's going to continue on. I think you continue on with Reem as well. I don't see
yeah,
any reason to break
absolutely.
up that tandem. Serginho Dest, the right back throughout the first half, gets pulled around the 60th minute mark. Thoughts on Serginho Dest this game?
Uh, Dangerous. I think his yellow wasn't a yellow. But I think once he came off the field, our attack on that side just was like letting the air out of a balloon. It was unfortunate to see because I mean he really was that danger man, and he was. We in the many streams we've had leading up to this, we have harped on his defensive lapses. The dude was getting back. He was always in good position, and he was really, really contributing to the buildup. So once he came off, it was deflating, especially on that right side of the ball.
Yeah, there's a few moments where he was one on one, and he wasn't super stout defensively, but he was able to hold guys up long enough to bring in help. I remember one moment in particular where he got beat on his flank, but McKinney was there to hit the ball away, and there was never much danger, I felt like, from that side of the field. And then in the attack, in the build up, and in possession, you get what you get what Serginho Dest just always seems to bring to the table, which is calm, and also the ability, the confidence to hit balls forward and to move forward. You get nice little flicks, nice little run-ons. So whenever he came off the field, you could really see the letdown from the U.S. men's national team, at least in some of that nice fluid possession that we saw in the first half. Let's move on to the guy who I think would have been the man of the match for me, and that is Tyler Adams, the defensive midfielder in the middle. We talked before the game about Adams needing to be there to stop the Welsh counterattack, and to be that competent and cool head in the middle. And I think he was that and more. I think he had a lot of really nice moments where he's helped settle the team down by winning a ball in a spot where Wales could have hurt us. And in possession, I thought he was pretty tidy as well. Did not try to do anything too dangerous in possession, really, but made the smart play, made the smart run, stayed in the correct position throughout the game. Your thoughts on Tyler Adams?
I mean, he's the captain of the team for a reason. He's going to be the captain of his club. If he stays at Leeds, he's going to be the captain there. He's absolutely everywhere. He does not stop working. He really is the most important player on this team because he provided so much cover for that back line, but he also really contributed in the buildup as well. I mean, as you said, he's not that big of he's not going to be scoring any goals, but he is. You can't take him out because he just offers so many different things. He is your safety blanket. He's the guy who's going to bail you out in different situations, and he provides that leadership on the field in the way he plays. I mean, there is that a little bit of that Clint Dempsey, you don't know where I'm from dog in him, but mainly you just look at him and he just never stops. He is tenacious. He is always going after the defense. He's always getting back in defense. So he absolutely is the man of the match for me for the U.S. men's national team.
Ahead of Tyler Adams, let's go with Weston McKennie first. We've been talking for weeks about what Weston McKennie are we going to get in this World Cup. Are we going to get top form Weston McKennie? Are we going to get Weston McKennie from September? For my money, I think we got sort of the Weston McKennie we've been seeing at Juventus this season, which is a Weston McKennie that at times shows you that physical dominance, at times is all over the field, but also is a bit sloppy with the ball at his feet. And he had a few just mindless giveaways, a few passes that were a bit off the mark that kind of slowed down the attack for the U.S. He didn't end up getting that free kick goal or anything like that. Did not really challenge in the box for much at all. Your thoughts on Weston McKennie?
You know, I wonder if he's not fully fit. We saw him grabbing at that quad a little bit. I don't know. There were some good moments where he was good in build up with Musa and Dest especially, but it was kind of a middle of the road B- performance from Weston. And again, I wonder if he is fully fit because you saw him immediately when he came off. He has a sleeve on his calf. And on his quad, and he immediately took that off and was grabbing at it. So I don't know if he's fully fit. We'll wait to see what Greg says in his press conference.
Let's talk about what Mike Irish has to say right here. It's time to do away with MMA. They can dominate the midfield. That trio cannot create goals. Brendan Aronson comes in for Weston McKennie, and he has a solid performance, I felt, both offensively and defensively. He found little pockets. He dispossessed Welsh players, had some exciting moments in a second half that really lacked exciting moments for the U.S. Do you think that in the England game we could possibly see McKennie on the bench and Aronson starting?
Absolutely. Absolutely, especially if his health is in question. And also we have to take into account that Brendan plays against these guys week in and week out, and he's not scared of them. So I think, Weston does a lot of things, but I don't know, it really depends on how we're going to play against England. Are we going to bunker and try and hit them on the counter, or are we going to press them? I mean, do you defend them or do you go at them and push their game right back into their face? If we're going to do the latter, you have to have Brendan Aronson out there because he is just going to have that motor that's going to press, and really force the opposition to make a mistake. So I don't know. Especially if Weston's health is in question, I could see Brendan or Gio, but it looks like it's going to be Brendan because Gio didn't come off the bench for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. The question marks about Gio Reyna, I don't know. Maybe Greg's having a press conference right now. Maybe we know a little bit more, but I don't understand if he's healthy. If he's healthy and available, leaving Gio on the bench, but we'll figure that out later. Chris says, but Weston had like three flicks that fully created chances, and yeah, he did have some flicks. He always kind of brings a little bit of something to the game, but the question is, was that enough to keep someone like Brendan Aronson on the bench, he was pretty effective whenever he came on, both offensively and defensively. Let's move on to Yunus Musa. Yunus Musa had some nice moments in this game, both offensively and defensively. Didn't have a super impactful performance where, we're chanting his name at the end of the game, but I felt like the 19-year-old coming in first game at a World Cup handled himself pretty well.
Yeah, I think, handled himself fine. We still have to remember he's 19. So he had some great runs in the going forward. Was great on the half turn as well. I think he did have a few miscues, but you're going to have that when it's a young player on a really big stage. I thought overall he was fine, but again, I don't think he was the difference between the win or the draw today.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Let's move up top to Christian Pulisic. Pulisic creates the only goal of the game for the U.S. with a penetrating run where he plays in Tim Weah, and Weah scores underneath the Welsh keeper. Pulisic, I felt like, got into some really good positions in this game and was our danger man all night long. And I think Welsh definitely felt that. And the evidence of that was the Welsh defenders just constantly kicking Christian Pulisic to the point where he's limping off the field at the end of the game, which is kind of par for Christian Pulisic. That's kind of how he always walks off the field at the end of the game. But your thoughts on Christian Pulisic this game?
I hope he's in an ice tub right now. He was getting the crap kicked out of him. I thought he was dangerous. I thought yes, I agree. He should not do set pieces. I think that is a weaker element of his game, but I think he was great. Picked out a lot of good passes. I think his combination with Jedi Robinson actually was very nice. You can tell he is special, and I think I don't know, I'm talking myself into hope again, but if he's playing up against a team that's not going to be constantly kicking like England is, I think he could be a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's some nice hope that you're.
I know I'm
throwing out
talking
there.
myself into it.
Some copium for sure.
Yeah.
So Herringer brings up Pulisic's free kicks, which throughout the night, not very accurate on the free kicks. Just an ongoing thing that we saw throughout World Cup qualifying. What is the deal with the U.S. and free kicks? Why don't we have anybody that can take them? And what should we do moving forward?
We do. It's Kellen Acosta, but I mean, if you put Kellen Acosta on the field strictly for free kicks, you're losing a lot that he doesn't bring to the table during the run of play, really. So I don't know. I mean, we brought in a set piece coach, didn't we? I don't know. And I don't think the answer is Brendan Aronson either. I think the answer might be Gio Reyna. Gio has put in dangerous balls for Dortmund. I mean, whenever Brendan takes one for Leeds, it's like floating in on a cloud, and the center back easily clears it. But
the answer to a lot of questions is Gio Reyna, and I think the big question coming out of this game is going to be why wasn't Gio in the game, and I'm anxious to see the answer to that. Let's move on to Josh Sargent. There's been a lot of chat in the chat so far in the comment section about Josh Sargent. Dakota Young says the system does not help out the nines. They're non-existent in his system. I don't know if that was exactly the case, specifically in the first half. It looked like Wales was really just denying anything into the middle. They really wanted to intercept balls, play through the middle, and then counterattack. So the U.S. was being really diligent about staying on the outside and trying to find their way through there. The big moment of the match for Josh Sargent was going to be his hold up play where he holds it up for Christian Pulisic and lets him come through. We didn't see Josh Sargent be too much of a factor in the press. I'm not sure. I mean, he did affect the game a bit in the press, but he didn't win too many balls. We didn't see him get on too many opportunities. He did have a chance early on in the game where he had a near post run. I believe it was Jedi Robinson played in a ball, and his header, although looked good on TV, probably was not that close to the near post in real life. Outside of that, not a lot of impact from Josh Sargent. What did you thought about his game?
I mean, he did kind of what we were talking about pregame. He did it in one moment, and it led to a goal, which led to points. So, good on Josh. I was hoping to see it a couple more times, but yeah, I mean, when we were talking pregame, we were going to say he's going to have to hold it up and be physical against the Welsh defense, and he did do that to let Christian get in behind, and then Christian threaded a great ball into Tim Weah, who finished like the baller that he is. But other than that, he was very quiet throughout the night. But you asked him to do that, and he did it. So kudos to him, I guess.
Yeah, would have loved to see a few more balls played into his feet to just see if he can get a flick off and see if he can create something. We didn't get too much of that at all. We didn't see him attacking the channels very often. That wasn't something that we saw from Sargent. I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag from Sargent, but I think it's par for the course for the U.S. men's national team forwards throughout World Cup qualifying and beyond. I mean, we just don't have a really difference maker, impact forward that we can bring in. So I think if we can get what we got from our forward, which was contributing to a goal scoring play, then that's probably a good thing. If you want to maintain Sargent for the second game, I'm fine with that. If you want to bring in Jesus, see what he can do, I'm fine with that too. That doesn't really matter to me. Let's move on to the man who scored the goal for the U.S., Tim Weah. A lot of discussion pregame about whether Weah should be the right wing. Should it be Aronson? Should it be Gio? One of the big talking points has been the lack of Tim Weah in the September friendlies and the impact that had on the way the U.S. could play. And I think we saw it early and often in this game that Tim Weah being on the field opened up the right flank for the U.S. He was a player that you could play to his feet and he could do something creative. He could also run in behind, which we saw a few times. He was a threat to take players on that right wing. He played in some dangerous balls, including that ball early on that a Welsh player headed back into the Welsh goalie, which could have easily been an on goal or right away. And then later on in the game in the first half, he makes the run in behind that Christian Pulisic slips in, and he makes a really nice finish, a really composed finish in a huge moment in the game. And gets the game's only goal. Your thoughts on Tim Weah throughout the game?
I thought he was good. I think that goal obviously was that's a big boy goal. I mean, to be able to hold your composure when you got a man coming in and you got to beat the keeper. That's a great goal. I think his creativity was very nice. I don't know. If you start him the next game, I'm fine. He definitely. I don't think he added as much verticality as I would want him to. He didn't get to the touchline as much as I thought he would to whip in those crosses. But then again, we didn't. I mean, nobody did that the whole night. I mean, every time we, were sending a cross and it was kind of jumbled up by a bunch of Welsh defenders back in the box. So I don't know. Could we have more success against a team that isn't really bunkering? But I mean, Wales in the second half really came out on the counter, and he really wasn't existent in the second half. You there? Did we lose you?
Hey, we're back.
And we're back. Cool.
Yeah, so you were talking about Tim Weah.
Yeah, I think once Wales really started pressing us, he was kind of non-existent. But in the first half, he was good. He was creative. I would have liked him to add a little bit more verticality and get to the touchline a little bit more. But other than that, I had no problem with him. I think we have lost Sam again. All right, chat. What are we talking about? I'm not going to mention the handball. Blah, 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 blah. Sam, are you back?
Yeah,
Hello?
we're back.
There he is.
We're back. I like Mike M says it's Welsh hackers. Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties here. It looks like the internet is not great. But I guess we're back right now. Let's see how long it lasts.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess we move on from the starters and we can talk about some of the players that came into the game. I believe the first sub was Brendan Aronson for Weston McKinney. Weston McKinney looked to be really fading down the second half. He clearly wasn't ready for 90 minutes. So we bring in Aronson. One of the big talking points has been about Brendan Aronson's ability to play in the midfield. We've seen games where he does it really well. We've seen games where he's kind of disappeared. He came into this game and it looked like he made an impact, at least from my perspective. Your thoughts on Brendan Aronson?
I think he earns a start for the next game. I think Weston was fading. I think he looked hurt. You can see him grabbing at that quad. So I think it really depends on how you're gonna play against England. If you're gonna bunker, then I don't know. I don't think he can play a deep line, and well, he can definitely help you out in transition. He's great on the half turn. But if I don't know. Do you think we press England?
I think we do. Yeah, I think we.
Then I think you have to have him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at him in Leeds. That's what he does day in, day out for his club team.
I mean, if you consider the performance that Weston had, it seems like you may have to go with Aronson at this point.
You go with Brendan over Luca De La Torre. I think absolutely that's
absolutely. Yeah, I don't think that's a discussion. The next big sub was the big one. I mean, we get DeAndre Yedlin, we get Kellen Acosta, and we get Haji Wright. And we lose Yunus Musa, we lose Serginho Dest, and who am I missing?
Yunus Musa, Serginho Dest, and Josh Sargent.
Yeah. So that was this has I think been the biggest point of criticism that fans are having right now, particularly the move probably for Kellen Acosta for Yunus Musa. It looked like Musa was fading a bit. It looked like all the players on the field for both sides were fading a bit, especially in the second half. The U.S. tries to shut it down with those subs, but you could tell that after those subs, the U.S.'s ability to move the ball forward took a big hit. And it was immediately after that the U.S. conceded the penalty kick, and it becomes 1-1, and really just unfortunate timing for that particular subs. But your thoughts on those players as they came into the game?
I thought Haji Wright was fine. I don't think he took anything away from the game. I think he had a few moments where he held up the ball nice, but I think. I don't know. I think DeAndre Yedlin, it hurts me to say this as a zip. I think he as soon as he came in, all essence of attack just kind of, I mean, it was a real letdown. So I think Acosta was brought in to sit back a little bit more. I don't think he's not going to give you the same thing as Yunus Musa did, but that's not what you're asking him to do. I was a little disappointed we didn't see him on set pieces at all. But I don't know. I think I would have put in Joe Scally over DeAndre Yedlin. Kellen Acosta's fine for me because you're trying to see out a game. And Yunus Musa was looking a little tired and a little like he'd been kicked a few times. I wouldn't criticize the Kellen Acosta move. I would criticize the Yedlin move. I thought Hydro was fine, and yeah, that's what I got. So, oh gosh, the Welsh Hackers are in it again, chat. We've lost Sam. We got Mike K saying maybe Greg is saying Givo for masterclass on Black Friday. Why not? Why not? Sam's back. Sam, are you back?
Hey,
there he is. All right, what'd you think of the subs?
Yeah, so I mean, in the moment, it seemed like it made some sense. I was pretty the one that really made me nervous was DeAndre Yedlin. And all honestly, it probably didn't have a huge impact on the game until the penalty kick happened. Once the U.S. give up that penalty, I mean, those subs were brought in to see out the game. I think that was in the last 15 minutes or so of the game. And then once that happened.
Oh boy. I think we lost him again. Okay, so what I think he's saying is once we conceded that penalty, that we kind of put ourselves in a bad position because you're not going to have any of those players really attacking,
Happens
going
back into the
forward.
game.
Oh, is he back? Nope, he's gone again.
U.S. men's national team, because he is my back. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're back.
Yeah. So yeah, so the big question mark that we're gonna have hanging over everything is what's up with Gio Reyna. I mean, the subs make a little bit more sense if Gio Reyna was unavailable, but if Gio Reyna was available, then it makes the subs seem absolutely awful. Which I think is the last thing we talk about is I guess the performance of Greg Berhalter throughout this game. I think the big thing that he did to impact the game was make the subs, and for me, his performance just really comes down to. Is Gio Reyna healthy and available and he chose not to put him in, or was Gio Reyna just not healthy? What was the thought pattern there? I think that really informs how I felt about Greg Berhalter in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. If something comes out that Gio's not healthy, then fine, be that as it may. But I think it's a big knock if Gio's healthy and you leave him on the bench. After that goal, of course. I don't. You're up 1-0. I don't think you bring him in when you're up 1-0 and you're trying to see out a game. I think that is a little short sighted because he's not that great defensively. I think if you were to bring him on at halftime for I don't know. But I think when you're trying just to see out a game, I don't think Gio is the right sub. But then when they tie the game, if you're going for the win, you have to bring in Gio. I think he adds that creativity and he adds the ability to send a ball into the box that a lot of our guys were struggling with. I mean, they were getting crosses blocked left and right. So I don't know.
Yeah, Gio has that special ability to just do something special on the field. He can unlock boxes that nobody else can unlock. And he has that unique ability that no one else on the U.S. men's national team has of the ability to do that. So to bring in Jordan Morris in that moment over Gio Reyna, if Gio Reyna's healthy and ready to go. That's some galaxy brain stuff that I don't understand. Mike Irish says Gio was warming up in the first half. Somebody else in the comment section said Greg said that Gio is going to be ready to go for England. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I mean, we know that the guy has a long injury history. We know that he's had a rough year. So you hope that he's going to be good to go. The U.S. is a lot better with him on the field than with him on the bench. But yeah, that's the big ongoing perplexing question for the U.S. as we move forward. I think whenever we take a look at this game and at this group, this England game on Friday just becomes so much more important. If the U.S. can get a point or even win that game, it's going to go a long way towards getting them out of the group. Wales is going to take on Iran, so they'll likely get 3 points from that. And it's going to make it all come down to that final day. But all of a sudden, because it's a draw, because the U.S. comes away with 1 point whenever 3 were on the table, it makes it a lot more tight as we head into these final 2 matches.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be up early watching Wales-Iran, hoping for a 0-0 draw. Because I think it could come down to goal differential. I think it could really come down to us and Wales on 4 points. And if Iran and Wales draw 0-0 or 1-1 and we, you go out and you try and get what you can from England, don't get the doors blown off you. But then you have to understand that England's probably through on the last day and might not have to really put up that big of a fight against Wales. So it's definitely nervy time here.
It's a good point, man. We really need to take it to England just so that they have to play against Wales on that last day, because we don't want to be in a situation where England is putting in all their subs and just going out there and is just happy to be there. That's not where we want it to be. We don't want it to come down to that. Even though England has probably absolutely the deepest team in this group. So even their second team
coming off your bench, you're in a good spot.
He's Foden, Grealish, it's a pretty solid bench that they have there. But nervy times. I mean, I think going into this game, like the worst case scenario, it would be like us getting played off the pitch and losing and everything. So it wasn't that. It wasn't the win that we were hoping for. It wasn't the win that seemed like it was coming after the first half. There's things to build on here. There's also some nerves. A lot of players looked very hurt, looked very tired at the end of that game. A lot of players are on yellow cards moving forward. A lot of important players are on yellow cards moving forward. And then, of course, there's a discussion about where is Gio Reyna. So some good things to take out of this game, but I think a lot more nervy things to take out of this game as well. Your thoughts?
I think you're happy you got points. You're happy you didn't lose. And everything is still all to play for. You still really kind of control your own destiny. So don't look at it as, all is lost here. You still got to go out and you still have a World Cup to play for here. So I don't know. It's just get everybody in the ice tub, get them in the massage room, rehab, and get ready for England, because there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, Mike Irish says. Mike Irish says a draw that feels like a loss.
I felt like that after the Portugal game back in 2014, and we wound up being okay. So you know what? It's gear up for the big one on Black Friday. Everyone's going to be watching. It's going to be it's going to be great. Go out there, give it your all. But I mean, because it's not like you're down and out right now. You're not. I mean, it sucks, but it's not like you're down and out.
Yeah, I see S27 says, Brad, this result was a disaster. I wouldn't say it's a disaster. I mean, there's much worse results. I mean, we could have lost the game, You come out of your first World Cup game and you still have everything in front of you. Certainly not a disaster, but certainly not what we were hoping for. Certainly not what it seemed like we were destined for, especially late into that game. I mean, the U.S. just really, they denied a lot of clear chances to Wales. They denied the danger men for Wales getting the ball. They played really well for the majority of the game, and it just came down to one moment where Wales get that penalty kick and are able to put it away. If they don't get that penalty kick, I don't know if they're able to find the decisive effort. But it sucks, man. Like Mike Irish says, it's a draw that felt like a loss. I mean, I guess we take our point at this point and we move forward. We got to hope that the U.S. can bring back some of the feel good from 1950 and from 2000. What was it, 2010? Whenever we tied England. We've had good records against England in the past in the World Cup, and we definitely need a good result against England now. It's an uphill battle right now. It's more difficult than it could have been. It really sucks. It felt like we had this game in our hands, and it just ultimately didn't go our way. We got to be better against England. I guess we'll end it right here. Do you have any last thoughts from this game as we turn our heads toward the England game on Friday?
It sucks that, we dropped points when we were in a great position. But I think the biggest thing is go out there and make sure England has something to play for on that last day, so they don't just phone it in against Wales, which, to be fair, England's subs still could beat Wales. England subs could beat a lot of teams, but all is not lost. I remember our first stream together, we were singing the siren song or the swan song for the U.S. men's national team after that Japan game. This looked like a different team than that Japan game and that Saudi Arabia game. So there is that. But I mean, all is not lost. Regroup, get a good game plan together, try and get something from England.
A tie that feels like a loss. Yeah, we're going to take
our point. If we tie England, it'll feel like a win. So
absolutely. The U.S. still has a lot of World Cup to play, and there's still a lot of opportunity to get out of this group. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult now than it was, say, 40 minutes ago, whenever it felt like the U.S. was getting that opening 3 points. disappointing, not the end of the world. But we move. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We'll be here all throughout the World Cup. Make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, you can also become a member. So I appreciate that if you want to support the channel directly. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Brad, my name is Sam, and this is the Yank Report brought to you by Bet Online.